Thank you for tuning in and checking out another episode of Unlucky, a memoir. My name is Kat. Everyone has a story. This one just happens to be mine. Welcome back. As you can see, it's another brisk evening here in Colorado. It's flurrying a little bit. You probably can't pick that up on the camera too well, but it's cold. And last week I was talking about being on the road, doing blacktop, asphalt, door to door throughout COVID. In hindsight, because I don't rehearse these, I don't write these down, I remember some stuff I forgot. So let's go back into that story a little bit, and talk about the situations that I kind of got into. So the family, the elder family that weren't really out there much, were really anti the guy I got brought in with because of his drug use. So in turn, my drug use didn't come off really well either. So I got blamed for a lot of things. And the father was recovering opiate addict. He hadn't used opiates, from what I know, in a while. But the family dynamic gets really, really kind of screwy because two brothers own the company. And then their brother is kind of who we started working for originally. We put the millings down the rock driveway. But that brother is also related. He's the brother of the person who brought me in. But the person who brought me in is cousins to the two who own the company. Apparently the mother or father, I forget, slept with, I don't know. Either way, they're all related. I remember coming back to the motel room, and me, the guy who brought me in, and the brother that didn't own the company, we were all using drugs pretty regularly, opiates. It was me and the other brother, not the guy who brought me in. I was in the bathroom getting high. He was in the main part of the room getting high. And I did a really big shot, apparently, it was really strong. And I got stuck in the mirror. I was just standing there at the sink, completely nodded out, completely out of it. I had no idea what was going on around me. The guy who brought me in was sharing the room with us, comes into the room, and he runs into the bathroom. He's turning blue. He's dying. He's dying. And something, it just snapped me completely out of my high. I come out into the other room, and the guy who found him, he's doing what appears to be CPR, like something he'd seen on TV, but wasn't really sure what he was doing. So I ran over, pushed him out of the way, got down, started doing chest compressions and rescue breaths until finally I brought him out of the overdose. He was turning blue when I got there, and I reversed the overdose with CPR, got him breathing again. And let me tell you, it's a close call because I'm what's considered an outsider as far as their groups go. So, and I was already looked at as the problem with the drugs. So thankfully, reversed it, saved it, and refused to share a room with him ever again for my own safety, not wanting to get caught up in that. But let's fast forward a couple motels, weeks, whatever it was, months. And I'm sharing a room with one of the owners, and he's been going through a lot of stuff with the loss of his wife, his kids, trying to get them back, trying to figure it out. He's really young. The two guys, the two kids that owned this, were in their 20s. Hadn't, they lived a lot of life, but not a lot of life, if you catch my drift. And he used to do a lot of cocaine, Xanax, drink a lot. And we had shared a room a bunch of times, and like I kind of became somewhat of a confidant. He would have really personal conversations with me about what was going on in his life, and I tried to be that sounding board. Um, well, one night I'm getting high in the room, and he starts pestering me, telling me, "Come on, give me a little, just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't want to shoot. I just want to snort a little bit," and wouldn't leave it alone. And I kept telling him, no, like I'm not going to do it, man. I'm not going to do, because really, I don't. If a person's not using opiates, I don't turn them on to opiates. But it came down to he's the boss. He threatened my job. And it's not just a job I relied on. I relied on a place to live. I relied on them for pretty much everything. They had me in a really bad position. I come to find out later. So anyway, I relent and give him the smallest, teeniest, tiniest amount, like that I could. And I'm high. I'm laying on my bed, and I'm like in and out nodding. And I look over, and he hasn't said anything. He isn't moving. I come to. I get over there. He's out. He's turning blue. His lips are starting to turn blue. He's not breathing. So now I'm terrified. Just not only does he own this business, like the way they work. I mean, they could probably just make me disappear somewhere on the side of the road. And considering that I was unhoused drug addict, nobody'd come looking for me, most likely. Nobody knew where I was. It would have been really easy for him. So I'm paranoid because if I let this guy die, it's probably my life. So I drag him off the bed onto the floor because I couldn't do chest compressions on the bed. I drag him onto the floor and I start CPR. And I'm going. I'm going for it all. I'm doing everything I can. And finally, I get shallow breaths out of him. He's starting to come to. He's breathing. And I stop. I get back on the bed and I sit back. And just like a sigh of relief. Until a few minutes later, I look and he's not breathing again. He went back out. So I get back down and I start the chest compressions, rescue breaths. And I'm, like I said, again, giving it my all, because at this point in my mind, my life depends on it. I mean, I really don't know what it would come down to in the end, but as far as I knew, my life depended on making sure he kept breathing. So I kept going. I don't know how long. It was definitely minutes. 5 to 10, most likely somewhere in there, but it's hard to say because time kind of stops when a situation like that's happening. And when I got down there, he was turning blue again. So I kept going until I started seeing color. And then I just kept going until he finally was breathing enough on his own where I felt comfortable to stop the CPR again. I sat back up on the bed, but I remember leaving my leg hang off the edge of the bed to try to keep myself awake. And at this point, the high was gone. All the drugs they weren't doing nothing for me anymore. That scenario kind of washed away anything I was getting from the drugs. And I pretty much sat there all night with one leg hanging off the bed, awake, staring down at him on the floor because I couldn't pick him back up on the bed. I just kept staring and watching to make sure he was breathing for the rest of that evening. That was a really, really terrifying moment. And flashing back to where I ended last week with crashing the truck. And once I got back to the group of them, my stay with them was rough from that point on. Even though he took ownership of he should not have let me pull out of that parking lot because he could see there was nobody home, that something was wrong, and I shouldn't be behind the wheel, but he just didn't. He was more concerned with business at that point in time. And he actually apologized one-on-one after that, but he didn't let that be known to the group. And on multiple jobs, he degraded me, threatened me, wanted to fight, all sorts of stuff. And his dad actually pulled me aside like one of the days because his dad started working on the crew then. And his dad pulled me aside. He goes, I wish you would have spit in his face yesterday. And I'm like, huh? He's like, screw him. And you should never talk to another person like that. And that caught me off guard. And then one of the days alone in the truck, because me and his dad got kind of tight and talked a little bit, especially after the accident when I was kind of pushed outside of the circle even more, already being an outsider. And he asked me if I could get him some dope. I'm like, there's no way. Because this is already after two of the brothers almost overdosed on me. And I think there's no way. If something happens, I'm dead. I'm definitely dead. And again, he pressured me. I finally relented. And nothing ever came of it. He never, but I do remember asking him. And one of the things he said, I go, well, what'd you think? Because of course this is different. There's more fentanyl in it and everything else. And back when he was getting high on dope, my remember said, what'd you think? He goes, it ain't sun-kissed, but it's orange. And I think that's where I'm going to leave off this week. And the reason I had to go back is because I think originally telling this story, I was trying to squeeze it into a video and realizing that there's no way I can squeeze this into one video. So I'll probably be going back into this story over the next few weeks. I don't know how many it'll take, but like I said, I want to be thorough. I want to be honest. I want to tell my whole story here. So I appreciate each and every one of you for coming along on this journey and following along every week. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for watching. With that, see you next week.